Abandon this futile mission, Moses.
Well, you need dragons to conquer other dragons.
There are no more pandas.
When we talk about great animated movies, we often focus on the heroes, but DreamWorks realized something special. A hero is only as cool as the villain they have to fight. So today, we'll break down the problem of how these villains are so well written that they sometimes steal the whole show. Eris. First up, Eris.
Eris, the goddess of discord.
The goddess of chaos from Sinbad, legend of the seven seas, because she's criminally underrated in these conversations. Eris isn't driven by revenge, trauma, or a buried childhood wound. She's the goddess of chaos. Disorder is her nature, her purpose.
All the pieces are coming together.
The film leans into that completely, never softening her or making her sympathetic. She manipulates Sinbad from the very beginning, using his own ego against him as if it's the easiest thing in the world. For her, it is.
Steal the book for ransom, and you'll be rich enough to lounge on an island beach.
What makes Eris so effective is how effortlessly she makes villainy look. She doesn't need an army. She doesn't need a plan with 17 moving parts. She just needs to whisper the right thing in the right ear at the right moment, and the entire world starts to unravel on its own.
You're a selfish, unprincipled liar.
There's something deeply unsettling about a villain who isn't even trying that hard. She's also genuinely funny, which somehow makes her even more threatening.
You're cute, but not that cute.
Her casual amusement as everything falls apart makes you realize she's not doing this out of anger. She's doing it because she's bored. And that might be the scariest motivation of all.
Isn't it a pity we live in such skeptical times?
But not every DreamWorks villain wins through manipulation. Some villains are terrifying because they hunt. Grimmel the Grizzly. While other villains might be scared of dragons, Grimmel views them as trophies.
One of the greatest dragon hunters to have ever lived.
He claims to be the reason Toothless is the last Night Fury. He spent his whole life hunting them down, and he is proud of it.
Oh, isn't this fun? Yes? No.
To him, dragons aren't friends. They are things to be owned and used. He even uses chemicals to force his own dragons to obey him. When Grimmel was a boy, he killed a Night Fury and became a hero in his village. This is exactly what Hiccup tried to do in the first movie to make his father proud.
They don't have a leader, just a boy.
The big difference is that when Hiccup had the chance to kill Toothless, he chose mercy. Grimmel chose glory. Grimmel is basically a version of Hiccup that never grew a heart. This mirror makes him a terrifying enemy.
I killed it where it slept. That simple act of courage made me a hero in my village.
And if Grimmel is the cold, calculated hunter,
Both of us fighting over a dragon? That's your plan?
Drago is what happens when hate turns into domination. Drago Bloodfist, he is a great example of a villain who wants total power.
Dragon Master, I alone control the dragons.
He thinks that the only way to survive is to make everyone, humans and dragons, fear him. He didn't become this way for no reason though.
To see my village burned, my family taken.
He lost his village and his arm to dragons, which left him full of hate. This makes him a mirror to Hiccup's father, Stoic. Stoic also lost a lot to dragons and spent years fighting them. But Stoic changed. He learned to love dragons because of Hiccup.
Because Drago Bloodfist is a madman without conscience or mercy.
Drago, on the other hand, let his pain turn into an obsession with control. He shows us that not everyone is willing to change their mind, making the world feel much more dangerous for Hiccup.
Well, you need dragons to conquer other dragons.
But DreamWorks doesn't always need a giant warlord to make a villain work. Sometimes, pettiness is enough. If you're enjoying this deep dive into what makes a perfect villain, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next character breakdown. Rumpelstiltskin. In the final Shrek movie, Rumpelstiltskin is a villain built almost entirely on pettiness. And honestly, that's a bold swing that mostly works. He's bitter, scheming, and driven by a grudge so specific and so absurd that it wraps all the way back around to being menacing.
You signed the kingdom of far, far away over to me.
He nearly had everything. He came within seconds of getting King Harold and Queen Lillian to sign away their kingdom. And then Shrek ruined it without even knowing he existed. That kind of grievance is genuinely hard to shake.
No, Shrek. You gave it to me.
What makes Rumpelstiltskin effective is how small he is in the worst possible way. He's not trying to take over the world for some grand ideological reason.
Sharpen your pitchforks and get your mob on.
He just wants a thing he almost had. And that smallness is weirdly relatable, which makes the film's alternate reality all the more unsettling. In the wrong timeline, this petty little man actually wins.
I've been waiting for you.
Then DreamWorks takes a different route entirely. What if the villain wasn't born evil, just handed power before he deserved it? Titan. Megamind is a film that gets better every time you revisit it, and a huge part of that is Titan, or Hal, as he's known before he gets his powers.
And Megamind wouldn't be kidnapping you all the time, that's the first thing.
The studio experimented with the superhero formula in this one, and Titan is the dark heart of that experiment. From the start, Megamind feels like the classic villain. Theatrical, overdramatic, clearly having the time of his life.
Predictable? Oh, you call this predictable?
But underneath all that showmanship, he's genuinely brilliant. He doesn't have natural powers like Metro Man. He compensates with intelligence, gadgets, and creativity.
Work sending me the watch, minion. You got it, boss.
Titan, on the other hand, gets everything handed to him and immediately becomes the worst possible version of a person with power. He's not a tragic villain in the traditional sense. He's a deeply ordinary man who is always selfish and entitled. And superpowers simply remove the last few guardrails.
Enjoy your flight!
He wanted Roxanne. He didn't get Roxanne, so he decided to destroy the city. That's the whole arc. The film uses Titan to make a quietly devastating point.
And just so you don't get cold feet?
Power doesn't corrupt good people. It just accelerates whoever you already are. And Hal, before the powers, was never a good person to begin with. And then there's the complete opposite of tragic, Jack Horner. Lately, many movies try to make you feel sorry for the villain by giving them a sad story. Jack Horner is the opposite. He is just a bad person and he loves it.
Assemble the baker's dozen.
He looks like a giant toddler who owns a bakery, but he's a total monster. He doesn't care about his magic bugs or his employees. This man has a therapist cricket and ignores him completely. He has everything a person could want, yet he still wants to steal all the magic in the world.
Can I go?
Pleasure doing it.
It's refreshing to see a villain who is just purely, hilariously evil without any excuses. But after a villain with zero guilt, DreamWorks gives us one of their most tragic.
Good boy am I.
King Ramesses. Ramesses is one of the most tragic villains ever. He and Moses grew up as brothers who truly loved each other. But Ramesses was under huge pressure from his father to be a perfect king.
One weak link can break the chain of a mighty dynasty.
He's undeniably a tyrant. He orders the death of the Hebrew firstborns.
But look at you! What on earth are you dressed as?
He lets an entire nation suffer to protect his pride. By any measure, he's a villain. But when they're young, Ramesses and Moses feel like actual brothers. They get into trouble together, they laugh together, and for a time, Moses is the one person who makes Ramesses feel like he doesn't have to carry the weight of the crown every second of every day.
Hey, Ramesses! How'd you like your face carved on a wall?
The problem is that Ramesses' father never lets him forget his role. Every mistake becomes evidence that he isn't fit to rule. Every sign of warmth or softness gets stamped out.
Moses!
So when Moses leaves, Ramesses doesn't just lose a brother, he loses the only person who made any of it bearable. Without Moses, Ramesses internalizes all of it. The pressure, the expectation, the loneliness, and he slowly becomes his father.
Moses? Is it really?
When Moses returns, there's a genuine flash of joy, until Moses reveals why he came back, and that joy curdles instantly. Letting Moses' people go would mean admitting his entire legacy was built on cruelty. It would mean his father was right about what kind of ruler he needed to be. He can't do it.
Do not know this God. Neither will I let your people go.
That's the tragedy. You understand exactly why Ramesses became who he is, and it still doesn't excuse a single thing he does. That balance, comprehension without absolution, is extraordinarily hard to achieve. DreamWorks nails it completely.
Be threatened. I am the morning and the evening star. I am Pharaoh.
Not every dangerous villain looks dangerous at first. Lord Farquaad. The first Shrek was a parody of fairy tales, and Lord Farquaad was the perfect joke. He is short, insecure, and obsessed with making his kingdom look perfect. Lord Farquaad seems about as threatening as a decorative nutcracker at first glance.
This quest for me, and I'll give you your swamp back.
He's small, vain, and played largely for laughs. But look at what he actually does. He runs Duloc like a perfectly manicured dictatorship. The kingdom is spotless, unnervingly so. And that obsession with perfection extends to who he decides belongs there.
The band, the guest list. Captain, round up some guests!
He exiles fairy tale creatures from his kingdom. And more chillingly, he gets the ordinary people of Duloc to go along with it by rewarding them for turning magical beings in. That's not just cruelty, that's systemic cruelty. That's the architecture of persecution dressed up in pageantry and a catchy welcome song.
The ogre has fallen in love with the princess. Oh, good lord.
The contrast between his comedic presentation and the dark implications of his rule is what makes Farquaad linger long after the credits roll. But if Farquaad controls people through fear, Fairy Godmother controls them through insecurity. The Fairy Godmother. However, DreamWorks somehow tops that with the Fairy Godmother, who is even scarier because she seems nice at first.
For her to live life happily.
She doesn't rule with an army, she rules with magic and manipulation. She uses her words to make Shrek feel like he isn't good enough for Fiona.
Yeah, lived happily ever after. Oh, no ogres.
She helped King Harold once, long ago, and then spent years turning that single favor into a leash around his neck. She's been leveraging that debt to engineer a future where Prince Charming ends up with Fiona, not because she loves her son, but because she wants proximity to power.
His princess.
If I could
is already married.
And watch how she handles Shrek directly. She barely has to do anything. She knows he already feels like he isn't good enough for Fiona, so she just nudges that wound, says exactly the right thing, and lets him unravel on his own.
Ogres don't live happily ever after.
She weaponizes his insecurity with surgical precision without even breaking a sweat. She prefers to stay subtle, right up until subtlety stops working. Then she goes absolutely nuclear. That combination is what makes her so dangerous. Then DreamWorks gives us a villain who isn't just angry at the hero. He's angry at the life he was promised. Tai Lung. Another tragic villain the studio masterfully portrays is Tai Lung. I almost feel sorry for him. He was raised by Shifu to believe he was the chosen one.
Filled my head with dreams! Who drove me to train until my bones cracked?
He worked harder than anyone to become the Dragon Warrior. When he was told no, his whole world fell apart.
Shifu taught you well.
His escape from prison is one of the best action scenes ever, but his real fight is emotional. He feels like Shifu betrayed him. When he fights Po, he can't understand how a fat panda could be the hero.
He's a panda. You're a panda. What are you gonna do, big guy? Sit on me?
Tai Lung is a warning about what happens when you build your whole life on someone else's approval. And if Tai Lung is what happens when destiny is denied, Shen is what happens when someone tries to kill destiny before it arrives. Lord Shen. If Tai Lung was about the past, Lord Shen is about the future. To prevent a prophecy about a warrior in black and white who would defeat him, Shen orders the massacre of the pandas.
Find this panda and bring him to me. Yes, sir.
That alone makes him one of the most genuinely sinister villains in DreamWorks history. He wiped out an entire species. He wiped out Po's family.
Get them all!
He believed it would earn his parents' approval, but they banned him instead. The crater of their rejection is what Shen seeks to fill with conquest, cannons, and control over China.
Your parents didn't love you.
While Tai Lung uses force, Shen breaks people psychologically, pressing on their wounds, especially Po's uncertainty about his identity. Shen ran from a prophecy, thinking he could outrun his destiny with firepower.
How many times do I have to kill the same stinking panda?
Tai Lung chased destiny, but never reached it. Shen avoided it and met it anyway. By the end, he's exhausted, asking Po how he found peace with genuine confusion.
How did you find peace? I took away your parents.
See, that's the thing, Shen. Scars heal.
He can't let go because it would mean dismantling his identity built on the prophecy, which he'd rather burn than destroy.
World, you and your precious kung fu will die.
But the scariest DreamWorks villain isn't chasing power, revenge, or control. He's chasing the one thing nobody escapes: death. Finally, we have Death. He is a literal wolf who carries 2 sickles and whistles a creepy tune. Arguably the most intimidating villain in animation history. Death is angry at Puss because Puss had 9 lives and wasted them all. He didn't value his life, so Death decided to show up and take the last one personally.
Find the very idea of 9 lives absurd, and take this last one now.
For the first time, Puss is actually afraid. He can't fight Death with jokes or sword skills because you can't beat Death. You can only respect it. By the end, Puss learns that having only one life is what makes life special. When Death sees that Puss has finally changed and has come to value his life, he backs off.
Live your life, Puss in Boots. Live it.
Death wasn't just a bad guy. He was a force of nature that forced the hero to grow up.
Because Puss in Boots laughs in the face of death.
DreamWorks villains prove that a hero is only as legendary as the threat they face. By making their antagonist complex, terrifying, or just plain fun, the studio creates stories that stick with us long after the credits roll. Which one do you think was the most justified in their descent into darkness? Comment below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and click the next video on your screen.